The crystalline spires of the Galactic Council chambers pierced the artificial atmosphere of Station Harmony like gleaming needles, each one representing a different species that had achieved interstellar civilization. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her reflection ghost-like in the transparent aluminum as she watched the swirling nebula beyond. Her black diplomatic uniform bore the simple blue and white insignia of Terra, marking her as humanity's voice among the stars. "The proceedings will begin shortly, Ambassador Chen," chittered Kextai, the insectoid protocol officer. His mandibles clicked nervously as he spoke through his translator device. "The hegemony delegation has expressed concerns about humanity's recent expansion." Sarah turned, her dark eyes calm but alert. "Concerns? We've followed every protocol, respected every boundary marker they've established." "Yes, but..." Kextai's compound eyes shifted uncomfortably. "They believe humans are too aggressive, too unpredictable." A soft smile played at Sarah's lips. Perhaps they're right. The main council chamber was a marvel of engineering, a vast sphere where representatives from 47 species floated, sat, or perched according to their biology. The Zephyrians hung from silk threads like graceful spiders, while the massive Goranth delegates rested in pools of methane. At the chamber's center, High Counselor Vethron of the Altarian hegemony called the session to order. "We gather today," Vethran's melodious voice echoed through universal translators, "to address the concerning behavior of the newest council member, humanity." Sarah floated in her designated position, her magnetic boots keeping her oriented as artificial gravity was maintained only in specific zones. She listened as delegate after delegate voiced their fears about human expansion, their military capabilities, their reckless exploration of dangerous sectors. "Humans," declared General Throck of the hegemony military, "are a species born of conflict. Their entire evolutionary history is one of warfare, conquest, and domination. We've made an error allowing them into civilized space." The accusation hung in the recycled air like a challenge. Sarah's hand moved almost imperceptibly to adjust her sleeve, a gesture so subtle that none of the alien delegates noticed. But in that small movement, she activated a subdermal communication device. "Furthermore," Throck continued, his scales shifting to an aggressive red pattern, "our intelligence suggests they've been developing weapons in violation of council edicts. We demand immediate inspection of all human colonies and research facilities." Sarah finally spoke, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. "General Throck raises interesting points about human nature. Perhaps I should demonstrate just how right he is." Before anyone could respond, the station's emergency klaxons began blaring. Through the chamber's transparent walls, flashes of weapons, fire became visible as unmarked ships emerged from hyperspace, their sleek forms moving with predatory grace toward the station. "Pirates!" shrieked someone in the chamber. "We're under attack!" Panic erupted as delegates began fleeing toward escape pods. The hegemony's military escort vessels, caught completely off guard, scrambled to respond, but were quickly overwhelmed by the attackers' superior positioning and firepower. Sarah remained perfectly still, floating serenely in her position as chaos swirled around her. Her calm was so absolute, so unnatural amid the pandemonium, that General Throck found himself staring at her instead of fleeing. "Why aren't you afraid, human?" he demanded, his scales now pale with terror. Sarah's smile returned, and this time it held no warmth whatsoever. "Because I know something you don't, General." The attacking ships had breached the station's outer defenses and were beginning boarding procedures. Through the chamber's communication systems, the harsh voices of the pirates could be heard as they advanced through the corridors, cutting down anyone who resisted. "You see," Sarah continued conversationally, as if discussing the weather rather than their impending doom, "you were absolutely correct about humans being dangerous. What you failed to consider is that sometimes the most dangerous human is the one standing right beside you. General Throck's eyes widened in sudden understanding. You're not really a diplomat. Oh, but I am, Sarah assured him. Sarah Chen, Special Operations Division, Terra Intelligence Command. My diplomatic credentials are completely legitimate. It's just that my previous career involved rather different forms of negotiation. The chamber doors burst open as armored figures poured in, weapons raised. But instead of the rough pirates everyone expected, these were clearly military professionals, and they were human. Package secured, announced the team leader through his helmet speakers. Targets acquired. Sarah's smile became genuinely warm as she looked at the terrified alien delegates. You wanted to inspect our colonies, General? I think that can be arranged. You'll be our guests for quite some time while we discuss the new terms of humanity's relationship with the Galactic Council. This is an act of war, Throck sputtered. No, Sarah replied, finally moving from her position to float gracefully toward the captured delegates. This is diplomacy, human style. As the pirates, actually Terra Special Forces in disguised ships, secured the station, Sarah reflected on how perfectly the operation had gone. The Council had wanted to see humanity's true nature? Well, now they understood that when humans came to the negotiating table, they didn't just bring words, they brought options. And sometimes those options included making sure the other side understood exactly who they were dealing with. The galaxy had just learned that humanity's most dangerous diplomats weren't the ones who talked about peace. They were the ones who had already won the war before anyone realized it had begun. In the end, the new treaty terms were surprisingly favorable to all parties involved. Amazing what a little proper context could accomplish in diplomatic relations.